Want to know what your dog is thinking?
Have a challenging dog behavior you need help with?
The Dish on Dogs is your source for all your canine questions.
Improve your relationship with your dog and deepen your understanding of your furry friend. Right here on the Dish on Dogs. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another exciting and informative episode of the Dish on Dogs. I'm your host, Mike Gould, sometimes affectionately known as the Mayor of Houndstown, USA, home to the absolute happiest dogs on earth. Today is going to be another episode where I'm going to be talking to one of our long and faithful employees. So I'm joined here today by Danielle Jannace. I got that right?
You got it right.
It took me a long time.
7 years.
Took me 7 years. I finally figured I called it Jadat. So now I got Jannace. So it's particularly fun for me and exciting for me to have Danielle here. We've been on the radio before, and you've done this before. And Danielle has come full circle, completely full circle. She joined our team how long ago, Danielle?
7 years ago.
7 years ago. And I use the technical term of adolescence, snot-nosed kid. So you joined our team but you came to us. And the funny thing, I feel as though I can talk to you. I have some things in common with you that you probably don't even know. But I'm introverted. It may not appear that way, and it's very satisfying and rewarding to me to take somebody who came on our team, came on board with us 7 years ago. You were a teenager, yeah, and now here you are. You're like, we traveled together training new franchisees. So you went from Pooper Scooper, and you had your teenage moments, as we all do, and we've had our ups and downs, conflicts, but at the end of the day, you've risen to the occasion. And every time I talk to an employee or team member, I always, mention the fact that, we're not looking at resumes, we couldn't care less, your knowledge of dogs, even though you came from a grooming background, which was good. It wasn't necessary to be part of our family and our team. And so here you are today, and we're in like our biggest growth spurt ever. And you are part of the training team. You are the training team, and you go out with me. So tell us what that journey's been like. You still you wear several hats. Unfortunately for you, you're still manage Ronkonkoma, our corporate location. Yep. So this is incredible to me. And when I say you manage it, I mean you do every aspect of this job, everything: hiring, firing, dog management, dog first aid, computers, everything. So then on top of that, you do franchise training, where we literally go out for a week at a time and train new franchisees that don't know the first thing about our business at all, which is a good thing, and we managed to do it. So tell me about that. Tell me about that little journey that you've had. Yeah,
so like you were saying, when I started out, I was just basic kennel attendant, just came here, did my job, but then it grew into something more. Right now, I manage the Ronkonkoma location when I'm home from training, and then once we're ready to open up a new store, I go out and I help open the stores with you. We go out there a couple of days before they open, and we get them started on everything, and it's really rewarding to kind of see the whole process in it and watch franchisees grow into their own roles in their business.
Right. So here's what's most rewarding to me. I'm going to make some comments that tell me if they're right or wrong. You don't have a master's degree in business management.
I do not.
You don't have a master's degree in animal behavior.
Nope.
You don't have a master's degree in marketing.
Nope.
Okay, good. Either do I. So here's what this should be so exciting for franchisees, because when I introduce you, you're it. You can do everything. We've had shows on breed discrimination. We've had every show you can imagine. Marketing we did. You a part of that process every step of the way. So if folks out there are lucky enough to find a person like you and understand that you really are the backbone of our business, whether we think so or not, and I've had this conversation several times on these podcasts where we sometimes think we're the business owner and we went to school to be whatever the hell they did. Really, the backbone of the business is a person like you and Sam. You guys work collaboratively. So tell me how that's even possible. How do you run, this, we have over 100 dogs a day, 30,000 dogs a year in this building alone.
Yeah.
Now here you are with really, how long have you worked for us, number one?
Since 2014, so it's 7 years now.
7 years.
Yeah.
So that, we won't have to, you're here now. So so when you go out now, you're dealing with adults, and I know when I was your age, it's awkward and uncomfortable because you got to take charge of them.
Yes.
You can't let them bully you around, just like we can't let the dogs bully us around. So how is that experience like for you? We go out, we just opened a store in Atlanta, and I travel with you, and it's always rewarding to me to watch you work and how you do this. So talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so when I go out and train, it's definitely overwhelming for the franchisee at first. There's a lot of moving parts in the business, so they kind of have to learn pretty much everything when it comes to dog management, employee management, the operations of the day, and the computer work. So it's definitely a little bit overwhelming for the franchisees to learn. So I kind of have to work with them. Like I said, we go out a couple of days before they open, and kind of before they actually have customers in the building, kind of get the ball rolling with learning about dog management, the safety part of the job. And we kind of set them up for that. But it's definitely a little overwhelming sometimes for the franchisees because there is so many moving parts to this business. Mm-hmm. It's even for me sometimes here in Ronkonkoma when I'm working, there's just so much you have to focus on at once. So dog grouping, dog management, making sure you're updating your Facebook posts and all of that good stuff. So I think it's when you find employees in your business that kind of some people do better in other things and you can kind of delegate certain things to your employees, it definitely helps with running the business, especially starting out, so you don't feel as overwhelmed starting out.
Right, and delegation is an art, and a lot of people don't have it. So if you're an over-controlling person and feel you got to be micromanaging, you're setting yourself up for failure. So on that note, like I say, we travel together and we go and we meet the franchisees. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of pre-planning. Marketing is doing their thing. We're all doing our thing. And we show up, and very frequently we meet the new employees that they've hired. So what's your, what's the most frustrating is if there's, what's good or bad about that? What's frustrating and what's not?
Yeah, so when we go out, I think the biggest challenge that we have usually is either staffing or dog management, because dog management is tricky to learn because having dogs is one thing, but dealing with packs of dogs is another, grouping dogs is another. So it kind of takes a little bit for the franchisees and their staff to learn this. Some catch on faster than others, which is fine, but it's also, I think one of the biggest challenges is just employee management, finding good employees that want to stick with you and then do a good job. So I think those two things are kind of the hardest things when opening up a store.
Right, and I completely agree with that. And it's, we have to go from a point, as you said, you get there on a Wednesday night, we work with them Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then we have our opening on Saturday. And thanks to our marketing team, we're inundated with dogs, which is a good thing. So the question is, for me, I have to relax people. I need them to forget and stop overthinking so much. And it's a lot, and I take it for granted sometimes because you do more everything. I don't. I just do the dog management part. So there's a lot of moving parts that I'm not, I'm kind of maybe even dismissive of. But it is the most rewarding is when we open up, like we did in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and the following weekend they were booked solid.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Right. And now how do you, it's amazing. It is amazing. And more importantly, but a tribute to what you do is somehow in that week, you prepared them to open their business. And I mean, we have some training here, and we have a very robust training thing. But to think that you pass the reins, you get there on a Wednesday and leave on Sunday or Monday, and you're basically passing the reins to them. And so that to me is very rewarding.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things is like going out to train a location, and then after the training, they're all set up for success, and then going and looking on their Facebook, and their playrooms have like a bunch of dogs in them, and I have my weekly calls with them, and they just seem to be doing so well. So I think that's one of the most rewarding parts of this.
Right.
Is
and
just seeing them
but that's a tribute.
Succeed.
Yeah, but that's a tribute to you directly because you're doing it. So, and it just is a kind of amazing to me that, with all my experience with dogs and all this other blah, 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 and all the things and awards and news clippings, you guys actually do more temperament evaluation. So when we go there, I have a tendency of, interrupting or interfering, which I know for a fact, whether you say it or not, is one of the most frustrating things for you, because it's better again, so when I allow you or Sam or anybody marketing, when I keep my nose out of what I don't know, you really thrive. And the answer is very simple. It's what you're doing, the way you're communicating, and it's data driven. It's not, I think you did a good job. I know you did a good job. So it's pretty amazing to me how this all works out. So did you ever think you were going to be here? Like when you started, what were you? Well, I don't want to go back in history.
Yeah.
We know you were a kid. You wanted a job. you were, God knows what you were doing. But now here you are, is this force of nature, and I mean that because people think sometimes you think you got to be big mouth like me to manage dogs. People get mad at me because they I tell them that you don't have to be. So you're this perfect example of somebody come run in. Today we have 75, 100 dogs here in Ronkonkoma. And you're running it independently, and you're not there. You're on this podcast,
yeah.
And so that has to be rewarding. But what do you think the traits you have? What separates you from the 100 employees that started and got fired from it, or no, I shouldn't say fired, but moved on?
Yeah, I think just some of the things that we look for in our employees is that they're motivated, they take initiative, they actually want to learn about things, and people, like you were saying before, you don't need background on dogs. We actually almost prefer you don't have background on dogs coming into this job, because you just need to, when our employees start, we just ask them to have an open mind to what we're telling them and what we're teaching them, so that way they can really succeed in working here. And we always tell everyone there's so much room for moving up. We're always looking for people to move up to shift leading and stuff. So we really just look for people that have like initiative. They want to learn. They're willing to learn. Reliable is a big one. That's the biggest thing.
But that's the most interesting thing, and I think it's important for franchisees or anybody listening to know that this is a business, one of the few businesses you don't need to really have any knowledge of our products. In fact, we know, and when we go to an opening, an employee claims to have all this experience from working at other places, or whatever their animal background is, it's actually a deterrent for us. It's a detriment, because now we can't mold them into the way we manage dogs,
right,
which is very different than our competitors. It may seem like, I think from an outside observer, people say, all right, you just throw some dogs in a room, there's nothing more to it. But there is a science to it.
There's so much to it.
There's so much to it, right?
Yeah.
And it's usually the humans that create the problems.
Yeah, the humans make it more complicated.
Thank you. Yeah, so but that should be interesting, because franchisees that are coming into the system, that might stop them, because they might say, I don't know anything about dogs, so this might not be the right business for me. And frankly, actually, you would be the best candidate, because the people that think they know about dogs have to be deprogrammed. I mean, fundamentally, when we go to these places, we're deprogramming them. And we have different examples. Sometimes that deprogramming is easy, and sometimes it's not.
Right.
Sometimes it gets contentious, right?
Yes.
I got to take them in the back room and do a number on them to make them just let go of what you think about dogs. And that goes for the entry-level employees.
Right.
So I'm sure if you got an employee that comes in tomorrow and starts telling you about how do they do this there and how they blah, blah, they're not going to last very long.
Probably not, unless they can drop that.
Right, unless
what
they
know.
And there are people that have. We've hired people.
Oh yeah, just because someone has a background in dogs doesn't mean that they're not going to work out. It could be a good thing and it could be a bad thing. So we just ask that if they do come in with that background, just to kind of leave it at the door and just listen to what we're saying and what we're teaching them, so they can maybe get a different perspective on dog handling and management.
Right, and that's a great way of putting it. That really encapsulates what we're looking for, and the beauty of it is, again, we're not looking for people. It's opposite of what we're looking for. We don't want people with degrees and all of these things. It's not necessary for a person like you who is moving fast forward. So what do you think? I've been asking everybody this question. Up until recently, it was kind of fun. We've kind of flied by the seat of our pants.
Yeah.
And I was able to curse, and I was always able to say inappropriate things. And now, and that's just me, right? So the bottom line is, as I say, Houndstown is about having fun at work. Basically, obviously, we have bad days, we have very stressful days, serious days, but fundamentally, we want to have fun. It should be a place not where it's doom and gloom.
No.
So now, though, we are now headquarters. Now we're formalizing ourselves because we're growing so rapidly. For you and I, it's going to be difficult to keep up. It's not difficult. I mean, we have a path forward, but we do have to bring things together.
Right.
So how do you feel about that?
I think it's a good thing. I think it's a little scary at first because everything's just changing, but I think it's all changing in a good way. Everything's going to be a little bit more formalized and just everything's going to be more streamlined. So I think it's going to be a good thing. It's just a little nerve-wracking.
Right. And as I said to Sam when I talked to her, life in my world begins at the end of our comfort zone. So we like to stay in a safe place, a safe bubble. But more often than not, when we explore just beyond that comfort zone, life opens up different opportunities. If you didn't do that, you'd still be a kennel attendant.
Yeah.
So somewhere along the line, you did things that were uncomfortable or scary.
Oh, yeah.
And when you so when you made that step, now you're thinking back, you're like, that's nothing. Now you deal with irate customers and all kinds of things. So again, it's going to be a transition for me, but I'm looking forward to it. I have to let go of certain things, and I have to watch the process go. And I'm excited for it. We're excited for you.
Very exciting.
And we're excited for the team to move forward. And I think the opportunities now are endless. They shouldn't be scary or stifling. It's almost the other way around.
Right. This is a very exciting time for Houndstown, I think.
Yes, and it should be exciting for you. I can't thank you enough. I don't always have time to thank people, for what they've brought to Houndstown, because you are Houndstown. Sam is Houndstown. Everybody, I'm not. I'm just some dodo that bounces around and does this stupid
But our customers love you.
Right. I do this podcast and I blah, 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 blah. But that's not Houndstown. You are Houndstown. Corey, Cooper, now Ryan. These are team members that all share the same thing. There's a quality that you share, and it's not written down on a piece of paper. It's a passion. I often talk about this. It's passion with knowledge is success. Just because you're passionate, everybody will say, I'm passionate. But without the knowledge to execute your passion, and you've been able to do this. I don't know how. It's not from formal training.
No.
I think it's just doing it.
It's just doing it because, for me personally, like formal training and stuff, I just need to learn by doing. And I learned a lot from just working at Ronkonkoma in the back with the dogs. I learned endless knowledge on dog behavior, dog management, and even like when I first started working here, my biggest fear was talking to people, basically.
Right,
so.
now you're standing here doing a podcast, right?
Yeah.
I get that. Well, that's what we share in common. Like I said, believe it or not, and I know we got to wrap up, but I'm introverted. I just have this shell of a big mouth to hide my introversion. And when we're introverted, we actually kind of look at things from a different perspective. We're watching things and seeing things and not necessarily participating or jumping into things. But anyway, I think this is so cool. You are like the people I talk about all the time. And when we travel, people, they want to steal you from us. They want you to work for them. And they're always like, where can I get a Danielle? That's like one of the biggest struggles, franchisees. Here it is. You can't have her. I'll outbid you, you son of a bitches. Don't steal this woman from me. Break my heart again. No, everybody wants a Danielle. You can't have her. You got to develop, you got to find this force of nature and develop it with respect and trust. Of course, there's learning. We have our ups and downs. And she needs to be accountable to me. I need to be accountable to her. That's the way things go. So this was another, I really mean exciting and informative, because I never have the opportunity to thank people. I don't like to tell them too much how valuable they are, because then they're going to want more money. So that is a little conundrum there. We got to balance that out. But I'm giving away my hand. Everybody who works for me is Houndstown. I'm not Houndstown. It's not what I do for them. It's what they do for us. And that's my standards theme with everybody. And if you don't realize that, chances are you're not going to be successful. If you think you're the brains of your business, you're not. All right, Danielle, I've got that off my chest.
Had a little outburst. It's good.
What's that?
You had a little outburst.
I had a little outburst. All right, well, thanks for joining us. We're
Thank
off.
you.
Where are we off to next? Central Bucks?
Pennsylvania, yeah.
Pennsylvania. We're opening in Central Bucks. Bill and Linda Dompert. We're so excited about it that I can't even tell you.
Very exciting.
Yeah, and our marketing team has got all the stars are aligned.
Yeah.
And they've gotten over that frustrating stage, the most difficult stage of build out, which is it's a horrible time, finding a location and building it. Then we open and everybody's shoulders go down, we breathe, and we have fun. Thanks for joining us out there in podcast land. Join us next week.
Thanks for watching another exciting episode of the Dish on Dogs podcast. You can also watch us on YouTube on the Dish on Dogs podcast. If you're a listener, you can catch us on iTunes, Spotify, and all your other podcast platforms. For more information, click the link in the description. We'll see everybody next time.